Mike, turn your games down.
Hi everyone, episode 236 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's in the Upside Down with me tonight?
Blake Anglin here.
Vincent Goodwin from Some of My Friends Read Comic.
From the YouTube channel Rich Kale, and also from various fan fiction sites, Richard Sampson, and who may even be descended from one of the people John Quincy Adams wanted to contact, the Inner Earth.
And lastly, Kyle F., mostly known as Chibi UFO and Canadian UFO on various circles of the internet. I am happy to be here. Well, I've made several other podcast appearances about films. This is my first podcast appearance about video games, and I am super jazzed.
And welcome in your first time on Games My Mom Found.
Thank you.
And for some reason, my cat just wants to climb on my keyboard right now.
Oh, no.
So,
Yeah, Kyle.
The cat is our mascot for this episode.
Yeah, that's fine.
Classic cat.
Lion fight.
Kitty.
Yeah.
Yes.
My first video game podcast I ever did was Soul Blazer on this show. So.
Oh, hell yeah. What a game. What a game. Oh,
yeah, we did Soul Blazer, we did Illusion of Gaia,
nice. Okay.
and I've been meaning to get into what's considered the last of the Quintet trilogy, Terranigma.
Yeah.
Which came out Super Nintendo. It did not come out in North America, but it came out in the PAL region in 1996.
And it came out in Japan as well as oh shoot, wow. Of course, the time
95.
I need to remember the Japanese title of this game, and it's on the podcast, and I can't remember it. Excuse me.
I heard
Oh
it.
my goodness.
Does that count? I don't remember it either, though.
Yeah, it's like Tenshi Suzuko. Shoot. Oh my goodness.
No, you're good. I just go by the English one because I can only speak English, so we just go with that. That works. But I remember hearing someone translate the Japanese name one of the YouTube videos I was watching, and it made more sense, like what the title was in Terranigma.
Yeah.
So
Tenchi Soso, but I'm not sure how to pronounce.
There we go. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. The one time I actually need to remember this to say it in a podcast, and my brain just nope.
Before we go too far, I do want to say, like, one thing I always like to ask people their memories of this game. Like, I had been meaning to play this game for, over 20 years now. Like, I was into emulation back in the day. I remember hearing about this game, knew it never came to North America, loved Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and for some reason it took me over 20 years to finally play this. And mainly it's only on here because me and Vincent were talking about either doing this or Prince of Persia, Warrior Within, and he's like, well, I'd rather do this. And I'm like, all right, we'll do this instead. That's how this finally happened.
I can understand that. Like, picking between those two, like, I love that game. I love that Prince of Persia game as well. I think it's a very good, solid game. But I think this, I don't know. There's something very special about the Quintet games that are just, I don't know. Like, I have such a soft spot for all of them. Even the Quintet games that I don't kind of technically like, with like I'm making fingers as I'm saying I don't like, but even those like I like they're just so damn charming. And yeah, and like I have such a love affair for Quintet. It's just I'm gonna gush all over the place. Yeah. So excuse me.
I mean, Quintet just kind of lived like in like such they burned fast and bright, and they never really had a chance to wear out their welcome. So for the audience, like Quintet is ActRaisers 1 and 2, Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, this Terranigma, and also RoboTrack.
And don't forget Grand Stream Saga for the PlayStation 1.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. So that's a pretty short, it's short and fast. And then I don't know whatever happened to Quintet. I'm sure we do.
Luckily with Grand Stream Saga, that actually did come out in North America. So hooray for us. There's only this game that never came out, which is unfortunate.
Well, there's also, let's see, I see two other games from Quintet, Planet Laika and Orphan Guyan of Sorcery.
Right. I think I've read a little bit about those games, but I unfortunately
can tell you Orphan did come out in America because I have a copy to the right of me. So.
Oh my God. Okay.
Not good, but I have a copy to the right of me.
Planet Laika did not come out in America.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, but I mean, it's just like, I mean, I loved Illusion of Gaia so much as a kid. I think Nintendo Power, I was on that Nintendo Power propaganda real hard, and they pushed it real hard back in 1994, I want to say. So I was all in on that. I think it even came with like a little player's guide, which I think is going to come into some of my criticism of Terranigma not having that. But it was just like a lot of fun. And so then I've been like, and then I found out I didn't even know that Soul Blazer existed before that until a couple years ago. And I knew Terranigma existed probably in the early 2000s based on emulation, but I don't think Nintendo Power ever mentioned it. So that's my memories with the series is and then wondering like why Square, because now they're owned by these properties are now owned by Square Enix. I'm like, why was this not released as like Collection of Mana or like that Saga collection they ever had with the trilogy of games? It's just like we have, Soul Blazer, which is a little simplistic but cool, Illusion of Gaia, which is very like story driven, and then a game that was never released in America. So I mean, it's a very cool series that I think would do really well in America. But
it probably could do very well, and let's face it, since they did release the Mana collection, that's like the first time officially the third game got released in America.
Right. And so I'm like, y'all could do this again real easily. That's your marketing spin. Because Square loves throwing, 3 ROMs on a cartridge and charging you $60.
Yeah.
Yes,
and this
do.
seems like an easy one to do that I'd be happy with.
Actually,
sorry.
The Saga collection's the only one I've actually purchased multiple copies of.
Nice.
Well, let's face it, I got it on the Switch and I got it on the computer. So I'm like,
nice.
I'll never lose it now.
Nice.
And Blake, I have a question for you. Since you're a big Secret of Mana fan, you never played Terranigma before, right? So I convinced you to this past couple weeks.
Yeah. So that's obviously like my wheelhouse. Super Nintendo RPGs, Illusion of Gaia, one of my all-time favorites back in the day. So as I grew up, you start looking around with emulation, like that become easier. Some of these games that we never got. I'd never heard of Terranigma, certainly as a child. I didn't know it existed. Didn't know it was a trilogy, any of it. So, as time goes on, I start looking around the internet and I see it pop up on lists of like great Super Nintendo games, RPGs. And it was just one that kind of lingered on the edge of like, I should play that one day. I think I even downloaded it once, played it for like 5 minutes. So I was excited when we talked and I got the chance. It's, in some ways, it's surprising that it never made it to the U.S., but then you look into the story of why, especially the timing, and you can see why the decision was made. But it's really a shame because it's one that I think would be pretty, lauded like right now if it was more widely available.
Yeah, because I remember wondering, like, how did they put it in Europe but not in North America? Because then you have to translate in like multiple languages, like. That's not very common for Super Nintendo era because they never even got, I think, Chrono Trigger or Mario RPG back in the day. And it's purely just functionally like Enix America just folded and they didn't have a chance to publish it in America. Like that's the main reason. Because I was wondering, like, why did Europe get this game but we didn't? Because that's very uncommon for the era.
Yeah, this is like right at the end of the Super Nintendo's lifespan too.
It's like December 95 for Japan, and I want to say like December 96 for Europe, which is still a little before the 64 came out, if I'm not mistaken. Because I want to say it's like September 96 for us. And
September 96 was the North American release for the Nintendo 64.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's an interesting story because ARC actually didn't revive North America until after 1996, so we couldn't have got the game because we didn't exist yet.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Well, that's a little trivia for you guys.
Well, also, Quintet, The Office went out of business in North America before this game came out in Europe, I think, too. That's why we never got it.
Oh, really?
True.
That was something I was reading about. They had closed their office in America. But then we get other American games. I don't understand how that worked. But, no, I'm upset that this never came to America because I would have loved this back then. Like, when I was playing this
very well if it came out back then.
Oh, I mean, this game was exceptional when I played it. Like, I couldn't get over, like, how damn good this game was to me. Like, when I played it last couple weeks, like, I mean, it reminded me a lot of Secret of Mana and Secret Evermore, but better. Sorry, Blake.
Secret of Evermore jumped to my mind a whole lot playing through this.
When I finished this game, I said, damn, I really should play Secret Evermore one day. That's what went through my head. I never played it that much.
Something that I found out about Quintet that I've always, like, took to heart, like, once I heard it, I was like, oh, so much stuff makes sense now, is that a lot of the devs for Quintet are ex-Falcom employees. And I'm like, that makes so much sense now because, like, a lot of the combat is so, like, quick and accessible and easy to use and, like, fast. And a lot of Falcom games had that type of thing, too, like the East games and some of the other types of various, like, Falcom-related games. Like, I always feel like Falcom was really good with having, like, accessible combat in their games. And, like, the Quintet games also had this, too. And that, like, ever since I heard that, I'm like, oh, there's so much stuff that makes sense now. And I'm like,
100%.
It clicks. It all clicks. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
for
didn't
sure.
put that together, but yeah, 100%. I mean, and you know, I just wasn't tapped into those kind of things at the time. Like I wasn't really paying attention to Falcom until
of course.
PSP era. So like that's
I didn't
that
know
makes
about.
sense now in retrospect.
I didn't quite know about the whole East thing until not early, like mid PS2, like 2003, 2004, and I was like, oh, I don't know what this series is or East or like I didn't know how to pronounce the terms so like Wise or whatever, but like I like it. It's really fast and the combat's like really quick and it's like Zelda but even quicker and it's like, whoa, I like this. Like this is just so easy to get into and which yes, and kind of going off of that too, something that what made me really appreciate this a lot of Quintet's games was the fact that like I was kind of lucky enough to discover Quintet going into their games with Soul Blazer first, and I really loved how that game played, especially as a little kid. Like it was like, oh, this is like Zelda 2, and I really like this, and yeah, like so much of it clicked in my little kid brain, and it still clicks now. Like this is so satisfying. Like this is just so satisfying. I love it.
That's funny. The reason I know about Quintet is because in Robotrek the planet's named Quintet Enix, which is Quintet in Enix.
Yes,
and I thought that was super cute when I was 9. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that's
so
how
cute.
I always paid attention to them after that, because they put their name in a video game.
That's the one I'm missing. I played all the other ones, at least at this point now. I played all the other Quintet games for Super Nintendo. I've never touched Robotrek. I got to remedy that hopefully next year. Because especially after playing this, like I am now like more on board. Like I love Illusion of the Gaia. I love Soul Blazer, as I went on before on this show. But like this game, like first I want to talk about the combat. Like the combat, as I made allusion to, is very much like Secret of Mana type style. Because I feel like that game is probably more well known. Top down action game. You move around. Yeah. But there's like how you could change your weapons. The only issue is you couldn't level up your weapons, which part of me is okay with that because leveling up spells in Secret Mana is where I spend all my time when I play that game. So I'm kind of okay that wasn't a thing in this game.
Yeah, that
was fine with me.
My only problem with the combat system, however, it's having played through like Chrono Trigger and having not really gotten a lot of time in on Secret of Mana yet, which I really should get back to.
You should.
Yeah, I mean, I've only completed one of the Mana games, but looking at Chrono Trigger, once you get done fighting the enemies in an area, like I don't remember if it happens inside like the dungeon areas, like the castle and this and that, but when you're on the outside areas that you actually have to fight enemies in, once you eliminate all the enemies, they start repopulating again. And in this, it's like, I've eliminated all the enemies. I gotta leave the area and come back in.
That's pretty normal in a lot of RPGs.
I feel like in Illusion of Gaia, they stay dead forever. Am I wrong?
Yeah, they stay dead forever in that one because there's no level.
Clear the room because you got because you got a bonus. If you cleared everything in a room, you got like a health bonus or some type of bonus for every
buff. Yeah, but there's Soul Blazer had a kind of similar-ish mechanic.
Right. This one did not. So I was surprised by that. I was like, why are these guys back?
I like that better because like with Gaia, you can't Soul Blazer's kind of the same way too. You can't like really over level yourself. I mean, Soul Blazers are enemies that keep respawning, but they're weak as hell, so it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, you expect something like that. Like the higher up you get in levels, the less they give you. Mm-hmm. This wasn't the case with this one.
No, and I like the fact that like you could just farm because there were a couple times where I just like, okay, I'm just gonna level for like an hour, and that's just what I'm gonna do. And I did that a couple times in this game just to get caught up, and then I was completely over leveled.
My problem was the opposite, is that I relied so much on like Illusion of Gaia. Like I clearly have been here because everything is dead, and I got lost in the mazes, and then like I don't know if I've been here or not. That's what happened to me. And
that makes sense because you can't count on enemies being gone.
I was usually pretty lucky with leveling in Terranigma. I never had too many issues where I had to like over level or anything. Like usually if just like taking an extra couple of minutes when fighting enemies, like I don't know, like I don't think I really over leveled that much as a character. So
no. I mean, you have to when you get to certain enemies, but it's if you over level too much at the wrong time, the game becomes too much of a breeze, I would say.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm completely okay with that, but yes.
No, I mean,
Mr. Save States, yeah.
You expect your characters, the higher you level, the fights that are supposed to be a challenge later on in the game should still stay a challenge to an extent. But if you don't level up, they are impossible to win. I mean, I'm going to take it for example. Not too long ago, I finally beat Final Fantasy VII. Now, when I first played it, I did not work to level my characters up. I got to the final battle, and I was getting my ass kicked. I don't think the processor was handling handling the fights too well either. I mean, my battle with Sephiroth years ago, I've had 3 times he used like Supernova on me, and I get wiped out eventually. I'm not doing as much damage to him, but like that whole Supernova, like freaking hell, that takes a while to play out. This time around, I had Cloud at max level. I had everybody had their ultimate weapon, and the battle went so much easier.
Yeah, I know that there's different games that like scale differently. Like I know that there's like I think it's some of the Tactics, maybe Ogre or Final Fantasy Tactics games that level like they will always be 1 or 2 levels above you. So like and I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom right now where the enemies definitely just like scale with you. So it doesn't matter how powerful you get. They will always going to take 2 to 3 hits. Even if, you know, you're level 1, they're going to take 2 to 3 hits. You're level 20, they're going to take 2 to 3 hits. This game can get very breezy though. I'll agree. If you're over leveled, this game the bosses can get very breezy. And then oppositely, if you're under leveled, you know, you end up taking like a long time in battles. I found this one pretty like I was in the sweet spot, I think, for all of my leveling. I felt I was in a pretty good place for all of it. And I had like the health item just queued to my L or R button. I can't remember which button now. And so every time I was just like in dicey health, I would just, you know, heal myself. So every boss battle only was done on the first try. So I didn't feel like this was too challenging of a game.
Yeah, well, we could talk about the bosses as we get through the game too.
But maybe we should start with the story because I was surprised at the beginning of this game started with like an auto heal. Like, which I've never seen in the 19.
I like that auto heal. I was upset
very nice
when they took it away from me.
I know. I was like writing notes. I'm like, this game is freaking progressive. Like for 1995, like this is like I got a health meter that's gonna re-heal over time, so I can just walk around. This is great, and they took it away from you. But that first chapter, I'm like, this game is amazing.
I was so upset too when they took it away from me.
Yeah, he was like, you're gonna go up on, you're gonna go up to the land, and your healing item's not gonna work anymore. I'm like, what the fuck? This is bullshit.
Yeah, well, it did take
that elder turns out to be a dick anyway, so it's okay. But
yeah, he does.
Yeah, I mean, we start out with our hero Ark, and he just caused some trouble. He's got to either apologize for it or be like, meh. I just chose. That's your first choice of the game. Like, does it really affect how the game plays out?
No. Not at all. We're not in that. We're way before that comes a thing in games.
Yeah, but I just, once you do that and you get told, well, you go in and you meet this, after speaking with the elder, they want to break into the basement, find out what's in there, and then all hell seems to break loose as everyone seems frozen.
Everybody froze, and I was like, oh, that's right. We are in an Enix game. I forgot.
I also didn't realize that was Pandora's box that he opened up until yesterday when I watched a video about this game. I'm like, oh, that makes sense because he goes inside. He goes in a room he's not supposed to go into, and he opens a box he's not supposed to open, and then he releases Pandora's box.
I just realized that now.
It doesn't. I don't think it never says it. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it ever says it in the game, or does it say it at one point in the game? And it's like, wait, when did I?
Somewhere.
I don't think the game ever really states it out loud, even though like the Japanese title. So the fun thing about this is that the Japanese title of this game means the creation of heaven and earth. So I feel like
title.
Yeah, like I feel like they're kind of like trying to not subtly hint at it, but it's like I feel like that's just kind of in the writing and in itself of just like, that's going to be that's just, that's going to be in the writing, that sort of thing.
That makes so much more sense because now that you're saying that, because it's like, and on the first chapter, the animals were created.
Yeah.
Second chapter, birds. And like, it's just like
very
biblical.
Genesis.
I didn't even piece
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it does have. It does have that biblical feel to it. Mm-hmm. But of course, we're in this world that is, when you first leave town and you go on that map, the outside map, that is such a terrific graphic.
Yeah, the Mode 7 kind of like tube thing,
the warping, that looks so cool, just like, whoa.
Yeah. And I did not expect, because you guys were playing this game long before I was, and you guys were posting in our group chat that we had before this, and you're like, oh, I got to Colorado, and I'm like, I had known that this game had real life places, but my brain had kind of forgotten, and I was like, I'm thinking to myself, why Colorado of all the states?
Yeah.
So Colorado,
because I mean, we have real life locations like like Athens or like Cairo or someplace cool, not Colorado.
Well, Colorado is the mountains, like the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, and it wasn't naming necessarily towns.
Yeah.
I know, but
it was naming key locations.
I think it's just because of the fact that the state, other things are older, like everything else you're dealing with is older than the state.
Yeah.
And there's just like Colorado.
Yeah, it was just like, why Colorado? And it's so early, too. I'm like, couldn't this just be called? But I mean, I get it. And how had this game come out nowadays, it would have been called something different or whatever,
But it is, like, we were texting that, and it is funny because it's, like, super novel for, like, an RPG to have, like, real-world locations. And Illusion Guy had them, too.
But not like this. Like, when you're...
Not like this, no.
The early dungeons that are kind of teaching the game where you have to then... You are resurrecting continents? Like, that was something else. Like, North America! And then they're not even in the right places, it looked like at first. But then they, eventually, as they morph into where they should be, geographically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
to me, very Enix to me, specifically like Dragon Quest VII, where what you do is you like go back in time and then you like revive a whole island and you're like, oh, cool, now I gotta go check out this island. And so that's like the gameplay loop of Dragon Quest VII's beginning. And that felt very similar. Don't play Dragon Quest VII for this show, Mike. Just don't do it.
I know it's super long, right?
Yeah, it's just a bit, 100 hours.
Kind of not worth it. I don't know. Of all the Dragon Quest, it's kind of not worth it. I'm sorry.
No, it isn't.
I'm trying to think. I've heard of Dragon Quest VII.
I can watch 4 seasons of American Horror Story and not make a dent in that game. But
someday. But I haven't even touched Dragon Quest games for this. We haven't done any on this show yet, and it definitely won't be that one to start with. So
yeah, you're gonna definitely the Dragon Quest series. That's pretty epic though. But
this feels very similar to that in that like we're gonna find like an island. So I felt very at home with and I like that gameplay loop of like I unlocked something. Let's go check out this new part of the world. That's a very
you
good
can't even check out the world as you unlock it because like you do these 5 towers and then like the whole thing with the elves like okay, since you opened Pandora's box and you brought up the continents, go to the other side and go bring back life. And it didn't hit me the gravity of it when you start off in essentially in our world in the upside down, as I'm going to call it. It's like you there's no life, like you're just walking around like a lava landscape. Like that was really interesting.
And in the first town, there's also just like the way it looks is just so odd. Like there's bubbles all over the place. Like
interesting, yeah, because you're in the upside down.
Yeah, like what the hell is this?
You're essentially in the underworld, I want to say, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, not really, because this was more. While it is, yes, you get the heaven and earth feel. Your initial outlook on it. I mean, you're climbing up when we get to the chasm, and when you go into the fissure to go to the surface. What you're really talking is this game used a lot of Hollow Earth theory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this was like this is actually the second game I've encountered that truly mentioned Hollow Earth.
I also think
that makes sense that it was with using that mode 7 too, but I just thought they were like, this is a weird graphical choice. But that makes more sense. I know Hollow Earth, of course, everybody does from Godzilla vs. Kong from 2021. That's the major purveyor of the theory, right?
It's a good movie.
Well, Hollow Earth has been one long discussed, and it was even even back in the 1800s when my little joke there at the beginning, being a possible descendant of the team that was supposed to make diplomatic relations, that was not necessarily a joke. John Quincy Adams was a believer of Hollow Earth theory, and he actually did get people together to quote set up a diplomatic mission
for the people inside the Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
Okay, I'll take it. Hey, some people believe the Earth is flat, so
No, of course.
Hollow Earth actually makes more sense. That somewhere deep down, where we haven't gone, there could be okay, I'll take it.
Well, how else has King Kong going to travel across the world quickly?
Yeah. Hey, it's more believable than the Earth being flat.
It's funny that you make the flat Earth comment you made the comment about like some people believe like the Earth is flat, which I kind of really have to. I don't know, like this really makes me wonder if this game did come out in North America. I really wonder how the public would have handled this game, because like this game gets pretty philosophical on a lot of like religious aspects. And I'm just like, I really wonder how the public would have handled this game.
That might be also a reason why I didn't come here.
Because I want to say Nintendo published Illusion of Gaia, and in my narrative, it's like Illusion of Gaia didn't do well for them, so they didn't bother after being burned with a lot of Dragon Quest publishing. But that also maybe is like Nintendo's like, I'm not going to touch the 10-foot pole, and no one else wanted to either.
Yeah, that is. I mean, we got a lot of people later on that there's no way they could exist at the same time in history.
Yeah.
But that's just condensing things for
the timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Really condensing, like really just like crushing everything down into like a little perfect little just thing of just like matching it all in.
Yeah.
Because Chris Columbus is in this game, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
He
But
takes you to
I
the
discovered America
North
before,
America.
which I guess historically tracks. But like 2 minutes ago.
Columbus, Edison, Bell. They were already. That's 3 people right there that definitely weren't around necessarily around at the same time.
It isn't a time, like, since the game doesn't really have that much time travel, like you have, originally you resurrect plant life, which is really fucking cool, then you resurrect, birds and then mammals, and then you get to people. So it works the way they did it.
Yeah.
I love it's not the first chapter. I think it's at the very beginning of, I think, the second chapter. I apologize. My timing is a little off, but I believe it's in the very early part of the second chapter where you're in like the animal kingdom of like not Africa, but like a little close to like Sahara and like Savannah, I believe, and Savannah, and like there's just like all of these animals, and you're like the way you interact with all of them, like you're saving when you save the little lion cub and like you bring all the animals back to that. I really love that part. That's just like I don't know, like that idea, like I love that. I think that's so beautiful that like you're talking to all of these like animals, and it's just like I don't know, I just that part really like
and then as the game progresses, they take it away from you after you resurrect the humans. Now you can't talk to animals anymore.
Yeah.
Like it hits you. I mean, I was like, this is sad. I want to talk to animals. I don't care about the people. I didn't talk to animals.
I love
the little lion cub was so cute, and I'm like, no.
I was very annoyed by the lion cub, but mostly from a gameplay perspective. That
because you have to oh god, you have to follow him around
mission,
and everything.
And you can't do a maze right. And then I got to like the end of like the entire area, and I was like, okay, and I walked to the next area, but I didn't talk to him before I did that. And he didn't come with me.
And there's that part where like there's that part like near the end of the escort mission where it's on a bridge, but the bridge falls apart. But like what you have to do is you have to walk literally with the lion cub, like as it's walking the bridge, so you don't fall off. Like you don't like the bridge is falling apart as you're walking with the cub, and it's like. That part was so fucking annoying. I failed it twice. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And then I watched a walkthrough, and I'm just like, oh, you walk with it. I'm an idiot. Yeah. Okay.
I looked at it doesn't telegraph that at all. It doesn't like I'm spoiled by Nintendo being like, we're gonna show you a mechanic, and then you gotta do it. And I'm like, this game never told me that this was what happened. And then it makes me like take the long way. Like through another room, and then I have to do a battle before I can try again to fail again.
But this is very much a SNES game, like in that feeling. I mean, you're thinking 100%. Of more modern days, which I love personally.
100%. And this is also some quintet bullshit.
Yeah,
Soul Blazer does this too. I remember, Mike, you're like, oh yeah, you gotta like kind of know to look on the wall to find the key that no one ever told you about. And there's a few things like that in this game where like, make sure you grabbed this thing in the 4th tower because we're not gonna tell you need it. But you're gonna need it. So I'm glad I had a walkthrough and I had the internet. And I'm thinking like, I never had this problem with Illusion of Gaia, and I think it's because it came with the player's guide that like told me exactly what to do. So I never got lost with this kind of bullshit. And I wonder if Terranigma had that, and I'd had the same thing. I would not be complaining. Like, yeah, make sure you walk with the Lion King, and they call him the Lion King a few times.
Yeah,
and it'll be fine.
Of course,
and it'll be good.
In the circle of life. Sorry. Oh my god, I'm sorry.
And then that little lion, you don't even fight the boss fight. He fights it on his own, and you're like you fell down a cliff, and you hear like the fight above you. That's very cute. It's very
you just hear all the sound effects. You're like, what's going on? What do I do? Ah!
Well, he does have to prove himself, but
exactly. You know,
I was using a walkthrough, and I was using maps from their website to help because, some of these walkthroughs, they do not.
No.
It's not the first time that I've come across a walkthrough that's not too clear on what do you do now.
Oh, I got walkthroughs for you.
Usually pretty good with this game where I actually didn't really need that much of like walkthroughs or anything, but there were a couple of spots where I was just like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? I'm pretty sure I'm reading this correctly. Like you have to jump here and then do that, and it's like what and then like I'll watch the video and it's like oh you have to time it, and I'm like, oh my god, okay, like wow.
Yeah,
I would have never
timing
beat this game without a walkthrough.
Okay, I was just going to ask you, Blake, because you're a big, SNES guy. So I was wondering how you play if you played this. I don't even want to say legit. I don't like that. Playing it blind.
No.
Well, yeah. I generally like to play without a guide as long as possible, but once I crack open the guide, then it's open season.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
But oh my god, like there were so many spots. There's one in particular that stands out. I don't know, pretty deep into it. You're in like a cave. There's some running water. You have to pick up a rock and throw it at like the back wall where there's water dripping.
Right. There's like little dots that like appear in the, and you have a limited number of rocks. Again, spoiled by Tears of the Kingdom in modern comics or modern games, where the things will respawn. I'm like, no, they're not respawning, but you got to know to throw it in these little drip drop spots.
I don't think anywhere else in the game has ever shown that as an ability that
Nope.
is a thing that could be done.
Mm-hmm.
I would have most likely never figured that out. And I found the kind of last quarter of the game pretty tedious, gathering all the star stones and just going here and there. It really seemed to me to lose a lot of that early momentum where you're doing the towers and then you're resurrecting things and it's all very exciting. And then it just kind of grinds to a halt as you just go on like a series of fetch quests to essentially finish the game off.
I get that.
Yeah, like definitely those drops. Yeah, those drops would have ended my rental. Or if my parents had gotten me for my birthday, that's also where it would have ended. Or I would have I would have scoured the entire map in 1995 trying to figure out where I was next supposed to go.
That would have been hard because some of those, it's late in the game, but like the Starstone stuff. I mean, the guy gives you a hint, but it's like, an icy town, and gives him other random ass hints. Without a guide, I don't think I would have figured out. There's a lot of stuff.
Are still pretty vague.
Worst.
I don't know, like they're still pretty vague. Like
one stone is somewhere in the world. And you're like, oh,
cool, thanks.
That's helpful.
Cool, thanks. I hate it.
Yeah, there's certain things, like if you are more attuned to exploring, I mean, even early in the game, I found one of their locations, but I, looking at my guy, no, I'm not really supposed to be here yet, so I'm going to just leave it alone for now.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, I have to go here now for this. Okay. It's one of those things, because this is a game, some things are intuitive, some things are not.
Mm.
And it's like from that era of, what do the gamers want? They want an epic adventure? Yes. Do they want to be able to explore? Yes. So maybe they'll explore on their own when they learn some of these things.
Mm.
I mean, I was fighting some of these characters. I'm like, this is taking forever. I'm just doing like 1 of damage, but I'm attacking so fast that he can't attack me. And then what if I use this weapon? Oh, wow. Now I've gone from 1 to 20. So
right. Yeah. And I honestly this game. One of my frustrations with it, although I learned after the fact, it's probably not the way it would have been, is none of the items are described. There's nothing that tells you you want this type of coat in this situation. You want this because it's good against these types of enemies. None of that's in the game, or there's a potion. It's called a potion or something, but it's really a life up, a permanent upgrade. But I think the instruction manual would have told me that, back in the day. All of those things, there would have been 2 pages describing all the equipment.
Yeah, it's very unhelpful.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, I agree on that one.
But that's also this era where, you would have an instruction book, or if you rented the game, it was a fuck you because how dare you rent our game and not buy it. So there was also that too.
Yeah, you sort of learn by trial. You have to sometimes learn it by trial and error. And what the hell does this vial do? Oh, that's what it does. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't actually understand how the magic system worked in this game until about a few days after I beat the game. I watched a video on YouTube that explained it. And I'm like, oh, but I was done with the game by the time I forgot how the magic system even worked.
Yeah, and I think the manual would have explained that.
Yeah, because so throughout the game you collect these blue rocks called Magi rocks, and there's a merchant in every town that wears a black cloak that you can talk to, and then he'll turn your magic rocks into these rings. And I'm like, okay, so I started doing that, buying one of each ring, thinking they were like, okay, now I have this item, I have this item. Then when I found out it was a one-time use, I never used it again. I didn't realize that when you use the item, you get your magic rock back. So I was like, well, I'm just not going to use them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I just
Yeah,
stopped
they're like
using
containers for
magic.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't realize that either until I read
it. Doesn't say it anywhere. Well, maybe it does say it somewhere. I didn't talk to everybody. I didn't talk to a lot of people. So I just thought it was like an item, like the red jewels in Illusion of Gaia. I thought it was something like that nature, where just an item I just collected and I can trade. I'm like, okay, cool. Like I didn't think much about it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was like MP essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm actually looking at the manual now. It's kind of interesting.
Oh, really?
Where did you find it at?
I just went online and Googled it.
To Europe.
Found a PDF of it.
You got on a boat.
It's kind of cool. It lists the spells, at least. It doesn't really get into the weapons and armor or any of that. And it does explain better kind of the whole Pandora's box that you use as kind of your pause menu, which I found honestly like a little confusing and kind of unwieldy.
Same.
But it doesn't really get into much. It does have a nice little gallery of like 4 enemies, like seemingly randomly pick enemies that got some custom art. It's kind of cool.
I miss that. Like we just had random,
also,
like Chrono Trigger had, Toriyama just drawing different random things for no reason.
Yeah.
There's also a Q&A that has like 6 questions, one of which is who should I vote for in the election?
Oh my God, no.
So.
Well, there is an election. Well, yeah.
Yeah, there's an election in the game, what they're referring to. That's funny.
Right.
No, I know, but still, just. Oh, God.
That's cool.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, the match system kind of bummed me out that I didn't realize how it worked, because there was a spell to heal you, there were other stuff, and because I didn't understand it, I never used it, and I didn't care enough to look online. Like I actually didn't even know you could block in this game until the final boss fight, when I realized you could block.
They don't tell you at all about how you can block. You just press L or R, and it's like, oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah, figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's that era of games where you would press every button and just figure out what does what and how this. I mean, it was a different time, and we're all spoiled because we're in the year 2023. So,
well,
there's that too.
Yeah,
the manual does clue you in that there's it. The only hint is check the hidden attributes of weapons by trying different ones out in battle. So it's basically just like trial and error.
I also didn't realize you can max out on items. Like I maxed out on weapons and armor, and then I couldn't pick up ones that I found in chests. And I was like, how the hell did I get rid of some of this old stuff?
But it's very annoying because say you pick up a weapon, his dialogue is the same no matter. If you open a chest, he's like, oh, I'm full on weapons or armor or items.
Yeah.
But it doesn't tell you like which one. So you may drop an armor and in the chest it's a weapon, and you're just going to get the message again.
I thought that was weird. That because at first I would actually buy armor that was weaker just because I'm like, oh, cool, I want to fill up my my box so you can see where you put the little armor on the little pegs, and I'm like, that looks cool. I want to complete the collection, and then I realized, oh, I can't hold everything.
Yeah, and you can't get everything. Totally. Yeah, and you also can't get everything you could possibly get unless you not only raise the continents but raise the hidden areas too.
I know that screwed you, didn't it, Richard? You missed Moo, I think it was.
Yeah, I missed Moo. I think I probably missed other areas, but
there's only 2.
There's only 2.
You didn't. There weren't much in them. Like they were like a little cave. Like one thing this game does a lot of is on the world map. There would be like a spot of trees, or just even a spot on the map that will lead you into like a small area.
Yeah,
of in game,
and that's really
weird. There's some pixel hunting that was not fun.
Yeah, I mean. That I mean, I was surprised by that because that's not a common thing. I feel like in this time, even.
Yeah, but it's like also that's part of catering to the explorers. When they look around for the stuff, they have to find. You have to look. You have to learn. You look around. You find it. That's the trick.
So the manual also there's a hotline that's open 365 days a year. If anyone needed help, you could have just called the hotline. So, honestly, there's really no excuse for any of us.
Should we try the number, see if it still works?
It is a European number.
Yeah, it's a European number. It's going to be long distance. But you can also ask if your combos lack that killer instinct or if you're stranded on Yoshi's Island. Then,
That's funny.
My gosh, no, and I really had more faith in this manual. This manual is not helpful at all. Like it's like Sapphire.
It's kind of cool.
Like,
the art is cool, but yeah, it's not helpful.
Like it's like list of items, and it'll be like the life potion, like that boosts your health. Sapphire, it's an item you collect. I don't know what to tell you, man.
There are some.
It lists like 7 spheres, but it's just physical descriptions of like what they look like with no sort of helpful information whatsoever.
Or anything like that. You know, like
nothing at all.
The leaf suit is made of leaves. Thank you.
Love it.
Like I don't need it to be like. I mean, like you don't need to be exactly like this is what this is like.
And then it says like try them out in the game to find out their hidden abilities. And I'm like, manual, help me here.
Like one thing this game did that I was really surprised. Like you get leaves that let you swim. You get claws.
Yeah,
those
claws are badass.
Like just little things that I did.
I'll hear the claw sound animation, the clack as you climb in my games for the next few months.
Oh yeah, that was very nice. I mean, the items that helped you explore, I like that. They were pretty much almost automatically active.
Yes, which was nice.
Yeah.
So not having to equip stuff was nice.
Yeah. I mean, you still had
go ahead.
I mean, you still had to like equip in order to use the magic stuff. You had to equip that ring box.
Yeah, that was clunky.
Yeah.
Definitely clunky. At least it did pop up kind of like the different rings. You know, you didn't have to equip each ring at a time, but even still, it's kind of less than ideal.
Yeah, it wasn't a good system, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And like, it took me a while to learn how to like select some of the items in this game too.
Oh yeah.
So that
Although
threw me off.
every time I had to use a health item, I was just jumping into the box. So.
Same. I never equipped them. I just used them. Or also for this weirdest thing where I would, all of a sudden I'd get hurt and then my HP would go right back to normal. All of a sudden when I pressed the button. So there was that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like load state. All right, that never happened.
I didn't.
I'm a cheat. There's no question with that.
I'll tell you one thing. Certain areas of this game I would not have gotten past without the save states on the ROM.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, the stealth section with I don't know if you can feel my air quotes through the screen, but I would have thrown my Super Nintendo out the window. I'm certain of it without save states for that.
Oh, with the guy with the lanterns?
Yeah, in the Dragoon Castle.
Yeah. Okay. I saved states. I can't say it's that annoying.
That
but
was tricky. Not impossible, but at least tricky.
There was one section where there's like 4 in a row, and of course, any 4 of them just kicks you right back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So just more annoying, obviously, than difficult because you don't lose anything but time. But
that is annoying, and of course, then you've got some of those enemies that, shit! I'm in the next area. I got to redo all that.
That's what save states are wonderful. Because I hate when you drop in a game, then you end up in the lower part, and you got to walk your ass back up. I hate that.
It reminds me of those fireball enemies from the earlier half of the game. Not the fireballs, but like they shoot like little fires spurts at you. I gotta say, as much as I really love this game, I really hated getting hit by the fire enemies because you have that whole animation of like him, like ash face and he's
Ark is scorched.
Yeah, like that's so annoying. Like it's funny once, and then it's like, all right, game, cut that shit out. It's getting annoying.
I'll take Ark is scorched rather than character exhaled quickly. And fuck.
Oh God.
The one that scrambles your controls until you find another screen. That one was definitely a blast. A blast.
That was.
I loaded every time that happened. I'm like, we're not dealing with this load.
I dealt with it. I considering the here, I will blow at you and you will go flying and getting flown to another screen. I'm like, you piece of. But if I'm walking around left is confused, and then I'm going up. Okay.
It was just
I'll figure this one out, and then now it changed again. Okay, compared to and getting scorched, confused, those were minor inconveniences in my book. I didn't even bother seeing if there was a way to counter it. Poisoned, cursed. Well, cursed actually I endured and let that run out. But poison, fine. I know what I can do to correct that. But God damn it, that exhale, I hated it.
Yeah. I don't know, like it's kind of weird because I love this game, and I really do, but I don't know. There's so many weird specific enemy things that just really bug the piss out of me with this, and it's so sad because otherwise, like I would almost say this is like just about a 10 out of 10. Like, but those little things just like, and little things usually don't bug me when it comes to video game stuff. But like, I don't know.
Well, it's very much
to tick off a couple of points.
That is a really damn good game for era and the era.
Oh, definitely.
So we got to find, small stuff that irritates because overall, like, this game was incredible.
I mean, there's a lot of like weird imperfections in it. Like, I mean, like, and it has a lot to do with like weird pacing things. Like don't put like text here to like stop it with that fire thing. I feel like all the scenes take like there's like a slowdown, and like whenever I finished like a tower or something, there would be like there's no music here. It's just like 20 seconds of me just sitting here, and then it goes. Like little imperfections like that. I'm like, this is a little clumsy. I would edit this.
No, it felt like a rushed at times. Like this like there. From what I was reading to or listening to about, like there were things that they changed from the Japanese version to the European version, and that's partly why I think it just didn't see it felt rushed a little bit. Like they didn't finish cleaning up everything up.
Yeah, I mean
it's a big task to translate for all of Europe.
It's also a big story, very ambitious for the hardware at the time.
Oh yeah,
I mean you are literally resurrecting the planet.
Yeah.
You bring the continents back, and you got to admit it didn't necessarily. We have quote 7 continents. So how would we? Well, the one you don't necessarily have to raise is apparently Antarctica,
because that's where life already started or something. I guess
that's where the battle between Gaia and Dark Gaia happened.
Yeah,
which caused everything to sink, and now you have to recreate it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how they did it, but no, I mean, especially once you get to the part when you start resurrecting humans, that's where this game really shows off its complexity with like just characters. And this didn't work for me, but I wouldn't have noticed this wasn't for a guide. But I'm curious, like, Blake, did you get the towns to progress farther?
Yeah. By the end of the game, I don't know if they had reached their max stage, but certainly some of the towns like Freedom and Loire, I guess it's pronounced, had grown pretty significantly. I did a number of the side quests and fetch quests. I'm sure I didn't do all of them. And near the end, I'm curious, there was one side quest where you have to deliver 9 letters for like the town that got destroyed. Did any of you guys?
Yeah, that's mandatory, I think.
It's not, because I actually never got those missions to spawn. For some reason, I missed something, and the towns did not progress for me.
That must have been the case for me. So I delivered 8 of them, and the 9th was supposed to go to a guy named Pierre. And I guess his quest hadn't progressed far enough because he wouldn't do anything with the letter. He wasn't successful enough, I guess, to give money to the efforts. Kind of a deadbeat dude. But
Pierre's the one who did the camera.
I never got that either.
Guy.
I couldn't get the camera. I voted in the election, but when I voted, the town never went farther after the vote. Like, I voted for Gene, like the guy told me to do, but then every time I went back, they were just like, "Oh, go vote," but the ballot box was gone, but they never progressed.
Oh, I know what it is. I ran into this too, and I ended up looking up. You have to, you might have never done this. You were playing emulator, I assume, with save states?
Of course.
You have to save the game in game to progress the town.
Oh, I never turned off the game. Never turned off in quotations like
most
that.
people playing emulators, that's not the case. You have to physically save the game, and then that is like a step in the upgrading of the town.
Oh, that's okay. Cool.
It would
Thank
help
you.
if the save locations were easily accessible throughout the rest of the game.
Which they are not.
No, but isn't that kind of the era?
That was the era too.
That's the era, but like I want to say it's like the Plant Town one. It's like you have to go through like a hidden tunnel, which again is not very telegraphed well. Like you have to go through this kind of like weird tunnel on the left to go find your save area. So I'm like, I would also like, I have an immense anxiety that I'm going to like die and lose my save. So thank God for save states. This is a true game, which is how we all played it, I guess. As Americans and North Americans. But like, I was like, man, I would not have found this save spot through this like weird location. I'm used to them being like right at the front of the rooms, and like Mario RPG was starting to do that by this point, like putting that little safe block in easily findable places.
Well, or just something like, this game was like, it took me, I didn't see a lot of save points because I also didn't go in a lot of the buildings. Like I didn't go in the ends because I didn't need to.
Yeah, I played it like it would normally have been on the system, but using save states every once in a while. Because, let's face it, early games, you only had certain areas you could save at. either overworld, always on an overworld, or at inns or someplace where you can rest. So this game didn't have a save state anywhere on an overworld from what I could tell.
It didn't.
Of course, you didn't necessarily run into
the
foes.
menu, I don't think, in the overworld.
Yeah,
You can?
I don't think so.
No,
You
yeah,
can?
I didn't think you could either. I was messing with it a little bit, but
You
damn, I
cannot,
wish I would have known, because I would have gladly saved and reloaded my save just to see the town. Because I was really upset the town didn't advance, because
Yep.
you
I was
got,
missing out on a side quest.
Yeah, bizarre.
it's actually beautiful when they advance.
Well, I saw videos of it.
I mean, I got them all to advance.
That bums me out. Damn it! Now I'm not going to replay this game, but damn it, now I want to see.
Oh yeah,
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like medieval. Then it gets like medieval village-ish, medieval townish, modern day townish, and you've hit it at max because you're the economist that seems to be everywhere.
He travels
He's
the
like,
world.
he travels faster than you do.
Hey, but to be fair, you travel by bird sometimes, so hey, there's that.
True. And
Yeah, I
you're
love the
walking
sight
across
of,
the country in about, I'm walking from the East Coast to the West Coast in like 5 minutes.
The sprite work in general is fantastic. Like Ark all wrapped up in a blanket being carried by a gull is definitely top tier.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, I love his little poncho on the overworld that he wears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's my favorite. Like whatever he's got going on there.
Yeah, that was cool.
But the art and sprite work in general, I thought throughout, like with the enemy designs, character designs, all of it, like they really, really did a good job there. Much like Illusion of Gaia. Both really, really, really beautiful games.
Yeah, my issue, I was like at the beginning of this game, but it obviously changes, is that this game is not as lush as Illusion of Gaia, and that's kind of the point. But like the very beginning, I'm coming from Illusion of Gaia, which is very like lively and got a lot of stuff going on, and then like the world is just like sparse and dead at the beginning. So my initial notes were like, this game pretty dull compared to Illusion of Gaia. I was not thrilled with it at first, but of course as you repopulate the world, you get like the good stuff. So it's very weird that way. Because I was coming hot off Illusion of Gaia. I'm like, this is gonna be like Illusion of Gaia, and then it wasn't, and it felt a little more like Soul Blazer, which is good and bad. But yeah.
It's one of those things, the quest to revive the world, it's epic. I mean, we start like we're raising the continents on the underworld. I think it would have been a lot better if you could switch between the underworld and the overworld. Like in the case of, I didn't raise this island. Let me go back down, and I can't go back down. I mean, that would have maybe made it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. But it's a very forward momentum game at the same time.
Oh yeah,
so, which I'm not used to, because I'm used to just like, you can always go, like in Zelda, you can always go back to like old locations, and this is not so much that. It's very interesting. Soul Blazer was also rebuilding the world, right?
I've never played Soul Blazer myself.
Yeah, we're doing certain areas, but you resurrected people.
That's what it was.
The same developers from ActRaiser, and you can see a lot of the DNA between the series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is a theory that ActRaiser is also part of this series, but yeah, I don't know.
But it's slightly, it's different gameplay. So because they're all dealing with deities and those kind of weird things. All the Quintet games are. So but this, these three are very much like action RPGs, like Falcom games, as Kyle said. So, which is very cool.
And they all involve Gaia in some sort.
Yeah.
Or Dark Gaia.
Illusion of Gaia had Dark Gaia, if I remember correctly, who you were talking to and saving with.
I'm pretty sure that that is the case. That is.
There's the connective tissue doesn't seem at first obvious, and then it becomes more and more obvious. But like not like actual, like they don't say like this is the same world, because that's not the case. But like thematically and like some of the character models are that way. Yeah, I think it's not as obvious. Go ahead.
If you guys are familiar with Illusion of Gaia, for those of you who are, at one point you meet a character or a couple characters, and they reference someone named Will, which is of course the name of the protagonist from Illusion of Gaia, and I was certain that it was going to be him, and of course it's not, and just a giant letdown.
That would have been Will.
There's also a dog named Turbo.
I think Will in this one ended up being Wilbur Wright, because that's the guy who does the airplanes.
Yeah, the planes,
Right, yes.
Because Illusion of Gaia, like, we're just jumping all around, but Illusion of Gaia, like, you do get to unlock either, like, one of the bosses or the Soul Blazer protagonist, like, through this, like, weird convoluted quest. And I remember being like, who the hell is that? Because I have the Soul Blazer. Yeah. Is that the Red Jewels quest? Is that what you unlock after?
Yeah, you get a boss fight, which is Rip from Soul Blazer.
There we go.
The sprite is, and he even says he's from a different world or something.
Weird. That's fun.
So, but I mean, all three have the same like theme, like an angel and resurrecting people, and so does Actraiser, and that's kind of why people think.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pretty cool game.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, there's so many epic moments in this game. Like one moment that hit me harder than I expected. When you get hit by the avalanche and you end up finding the two goats in a cave and they're both stuck in here and they can't get out.
I thought you were gonna. I
had to bring that up. But the only thing that got me I thought was weird is why they use the word husband, because they're not humans, they're not married. Why not just say mate? But I guess they were, different audience. But I was just like, it should just be mate.
There were some odd translations throughout.
Yeah, that was
my favorite. Is near the end, you meet the doctor and he says something like, "Oh, thanks for arousing me." And I assume they meant like awakening, because you're the one who kind of awakened him. And
Yeah.
They just they mistranslated that one.
Yeah, well,
or maybe not. Maybe that's.
Well,
what
I mean, to
meant.
be like startled or like I've heard that as aroused, but we got dirty minds here. I'm from Texas, we don't South, we.
Well, let's face it. We expect certain things, and it will completely throw you. I mean, I remember a trivia question on one show. Which of the following word is found in, I think, which of the following words is found in the Constitution? Forget what the third option was, but the first two was God and erection.
Erection.
Yep.
Yes, erection it is, because it's talking about the erection of buildings. And that's like, it doesn't throw me off with some things that pop into these games or what's in there. I mean, I was using the RPG Classics shrines for my walkthrough, and it does have a lot of things in here where you're talking like behind the names. I mean, as Will, and it says here like Will is named after William Edward Boeing.
Well,
but in reality, I mean, Wilbur Wright and his brother Orville were the ones who pioneered power flight, so both names work.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had such like Mick. That's the guy who's making the burgers. He's a reference to McDonald's.
Right, exactly.
This feels like an Alan Moore thing, at this point. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of these. I mean, the look in the names. Locations, Ayers Rock. Gee, game, it's Ayers Rock, AIRS, but it's actually, it's Ayers Rock, AYERS is what we call it. But it's actually its actual name is Uluru, which, fun fact, that's actually mentioned in Golden Sun, The Lost Age. I mean, all the names, we were talking about that. Look at the areas, they're more named after location, like famous locations. I mean, you got the Sahara Desert, the Paledes Island, the Yangtze River, the Indus River.
Freedom, America.
Yeah, Colorado, we mentioned it because of the Colorado River.
Mm-hmm.
So, all these names, they have definitely got locations. I mean, there's a guy in the island to the north, his name is Rich. So, he's a wealthy Englishman who lives by himself. I'm going to be honest, my first thought when I saw Rich, I'm thinking King Richard.
Right,
King
okay.
Richards.
That's fair.
Okay, yeah, I can get that.
According to the guide, there's like, it could have been like a reference to Richard Branson.
All right.
But of course, he wasn't around till the 1950s. But
Yeah, this game jumps around a bit. I mean, you have Neo Tokyo.
I just thought rich guy. Like, they just named the rich guy Rich.
That's fair too.
At this point.
yeah, well,
Rich.
I was like, why am I in this? I didn't like, why am I in this game? And I'm like, this is going to be up in the England area. Rich, his name is Rich, so he's probably one of the King Richards. I mean, Eddie was Thomas Edison. I mean, he's making the telephone. I think it was there.
Bell was.
It was Bell. That was
Bell.
phone.
Yeah, you're right. Bell. Phone. Thomas Edison was electricity.
Yeah, and a notorious dick, and that's why all of Hollywood's in California to get as far away from him as possible.
Yep.
I mean, there was like I said, I'm looking at the website. There's so much that they had for like the meanings of the names and all that.
Yeah, that's funny because I think like we said, like all walkthroughs are not created equal. Because my walkthrough was like, go here, pick this up. You've got this. Go talk to the dog. The dog did this. The lion, yeah. It like had no like story flourishes at all. My walkthroughs were not great.
No, that's not I didn't have a great one either.
That's
Unless I was.
But we've been talking like about how the level. We also talked about how this system of leveling seems to. We've talked about. We've been talking about the fights. We've talked about how leveling works. And here's one of those things. This is where it plays into the game. I mean, the most notorious boss apparently in this game is Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing because I laughed when I first saw that, and like, this is Sylvain in the Spain area, and I'm like, you gotta get that one in there because this is actually it's sort of named for the actual queen. Although she wasn't necessarily queen of Spain, she was queen of England. Bloody Mary, she was the first queen of England that ruled England.
On her own, yeah.
And so, and she did earn that nickname of Bloody because she wanted to bring it back to Catholicism. So, it's like they say at low level, she's a pain in the ass. So make sure you're level 25 plus. But like I said, this is where the game sort of, if you're too high up at the wrong time, everything's a breeze. So maybe that's why they also put in that little fetch quest in there. But like I said,
the big thing of this time was how can you make a game, longer, feel longer. So I mean that was just the way it was.
Or it's a way to give you a lull so you can take a break from grinding and fighting because you're going to be in some nasty bosses when you're in the final part.
That's fair too.
I mean, we can't through this game we've resurrected the continents. We brought plant life back. We brought the birds back. We brought the animals back. We brought the humans back. Then we're out of commission for 3 years.
I like that. Should have been longer, but I like that.
Yeah, 3 years, and wow.
Should have been like 300 years or 3,000. It should have been like 3,000 years you're gone.
Yeah.
And then the world changed, but then it wouldn't work when you have, because you actually, you meet Liam again now that he's older, and then you also find him dead, where you get one of the Starstones later on in the game.
Yeah, and your special lady friend and a few other people. But narrative,
and then there's that weird, teenage girl who has a crush on you.
Oh, yeah.
Right, I remember that part.
Okay, that's one of the moments of that game when you go to the you go to the town that's normal, you stay at the inn, you wake up, and everybody's a fucking zombie. That is one of the most intense moments in a game I have seen in a while. I did not expect that.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
That did throw me.
That was a great fucking moment, though. Like, I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, that was a moment that catches you off guard.
Oh, yeah.
That reminded me of, it happens in both Mother 1 and Mother 2, where you go to a town and, you go to sleep. You go to a town that doesn't seem right, and you go to sleep, and, the music's kind of off, and then you wake up, and you're immediately thrown into a battle, and you're like, wait, what the hell? And, the innkeeper is, a bad guy, and it's like, whoa, holy crap, I love that.
Oh,
yeah, they did that.
Yeah, they put that. That's a good trope in games. It's like, go to sleep, boom,
yeah, exactly.
Shit.
And there's some scene, if I remember correctly, when you go to sleep or when you wake up in the town, there's things they say that seem a little weird.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was impressive. I was like, that was one of my, I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed that moment in a Super Nintendo game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's not what I expected.
Yeah, and then, of course, after, you're then, in that desert. Going through that desert, I really didn't need. If you solve the puzzle once, don't make him do it again and again and again.
I agree. I very much agree.
All you need is one little flag. Did they clear it already? Yes. Okay. We won't torture them with it again. Unless you're going to put something hidden in there, don't make us do that section again.
I agree. Here.
This game has another one cool moment also, when you run into Liam as an adult, and he has when you're trying to rescue that girl in the town that's been everybody's been killed by a virus.
Oh yeah, right. I remember that.
I thought that was interesting. I was surprised they went the virus route. I was like, okay, that's cool. I commend you.
Yeah, that's what you get for waking a power mad idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the Beruga as a villain that kind of comes in later in this game, and how it's for close to Bermuda. I was like, okay, Bermuda Triangle, Beruga, I'll take it.
I laughed out loud at his death scene. It was so fucking funny.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
So, Blake, I have a question for you. When I was playing this game, there were certain parts where I swear I heard the Chrono Trigger future music. Did you have any of that deja vu?
No, and I enjoyed the music, and so I was playing with the audio on all the time. I can't say I was really reminded of anything else, and I played Chrono Trigger fairly recently, so certainly possible I missed anything, but I didn't really draw a connection there myself.
Okay, I had it happen a lot where I kept hearing Chrono Trigger music. It might have been a me thing and not, a real thing, but I swear, I was like, this sounds like Chrono Trigger.
I mean, who made the music for Terra? Who made the music for Chrono Trigger? I mean, was it the Enix side or was it the
Nobuo Uematsu is the guy?
Uematsu is that the Square side?
Wait, hold on. Did Uematsu do the soundtrack for Chrono Trigger? I thought it was Yasunori Mitsuda that did.
It was a combination effort for Chrono Trigger.
Okay. Because I was a little sorry that kind of threw me through. I was like, wait, hold on. I was like, I wasn't sure about that, and I just kind of my brain just kind of freaked out there.
Yeah, I mean, there was a podcast I listened to years ago. I actually still have all the recordings of it. It was called Into the Score. And this guy was a music teacher, also a bit of a composer. Of course, he's now has, kids of his own and all that. But he actually took the fourth, fifth, and sixth episode were devoted to literally Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger. And then, Chrono Cross, then Chrono Trigger, then comparing the two. So, that's how I got all my information on Chrono Trigger and the music. Yeah, Uematsu worked on part of it, but it was someone else. I mean, they were getting, so I think it was the person was getting overworked and overstressed, and, he pulled in to help out a little bit.
My sincerest apologies about that, because I thought it was only just Yasunori Mitsuda, so... Yeah, my sincerest apologies.
You're all good.
Yeah, no, for the listeners, Chrono Trigger was a big merging of Square and Enix.
Yeah, it was.
Before Square and Enix were together, so
I believe that's why Chrono Trigger was kind of a big deal from the get-go. Was that it was like a big mix of all the at that time the big names of RPG. Well. Japanese RPG games and that sort of alike.
It doesn't look like it doesn't look like there's any carryover, at least according to Moby Games. They don't even have music credits. They just have sound composers, and they're not.
Yeah.
It's Miyoko Takaoka and Masanori Hikichi.
There you go. Thank you for
Terranigma.
Yeah, for Terranigma.
Which is not any Chrono Trigger overlap, although Quintet was part of Enix at the time, or worked really closely with them. So.
Yeah, and some of that stuff wasn't always published either.
Mm-hmm. Probably got some influence.
Yeah, I really feel that with the music. I still play this game entirely with sound on all the time. I just enjoy the music so much, which
same
is not a me thing.
There were a couple of times where the tracks became a little redundant, but I still really liked what I listened to. This is really nice. This is my kind of what I'd call prime gaming of my life, in the case of because I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 1990. The Super Nintendo was a very, very, very important console to me, and just this is prime Super Nintendo of in its best era of the best graphics, the composers really understand what you can do with the Super Nintendo sound hardware, and
all right.
Yeah, the developers, the composers, everyone's really pushing the Super Nintendo to its limits, and I love that so much. That era of Super Nintendo, a big spot in my heart.
I found it seemed the music to me. There's no tracks. I don't think maybe the overworld track that really stood out to me, but they all generally seem to really fit the mood of their particular sections, almost a greater than the sum of its parts situation, with the songs. But that overworld theme, I just really nails. I don't know, something about it just really seemed to hit the vibe of what the game was going for, and just that sweet spot.
The emotions of a lot of the tracks too are also just the emotional cores of the musical tracks are really good.
It kicks back to the Krista theme a couple times when you see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, really well done.
I missed out on a good deal of the music of this one because part of when I was playing it, had other things going.
No, I can get that.
That's how I normally am, so I completely understand.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to listen to the music much as I did in this game. I was honestly surprised how much I got into it.
I think the most memorable track I heard was basically at the end of the game.
Oh yeah, that track's really good.
It's just the fact that something reminded me of the future overworld map in Chrono Trigger. I don't remember what song it was, but I heard things that were very, very close to it, and it couldn't have been just me. But I'm like, God, I played so much Chrono Trigger in my life too, so I'm like, But that also got me to. I don't know. I just really enjoyed the music.
I've always enjoyed Chrono Trigger, but if you asked me what my favorite RPG of Super Nintendo, the Super Nintendo RPG of my favorite was, it's always going to be Earthbound for me. That's...
Off the show. Gotta go. Bye.
No, of course not. I'm sorry. Oh my God, I'm sorry. No.
I'm not going to argue that one. Earthbound has
Earthbound's a great game. I just give it a lot of shit.
No, I know.
I mean, that one podcast, that podcast I mentioned, they actually profiled Earthbound on an episode.
Nice.
Talked with a jazz group that does some songs from it in a jazz style.
Ooh, I like that.
You'd love their name, the Runaway Five.
Yes. Oh, I know of that group that does that.
So now I know who to
I love their music. Just good stuff.
Yeah, they're 4 members, and they're like, why? And people who don't know about Earthbound, why are you called the Runaway Five?
Yeah, exactly.
There's only 4 of you. I said, you ever play Earthbound?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Runaway 5 and Earthbound are 6 members, so.
Yeah, exactly. How does the math work in this equation? I don't understand.
Another thing I want to bring up is almost everyone that joins you ends up. A lot of people die in this game. You have Freya, I think is her name, the woman that rescues you a couple times. She dies in the airship when you destroy Bermuda's, and this other random guy that was your rival now is your friend.
Yeah.
Dies. They're like, oh, you go with the seagull. We'll just stay here and die. Bye.
Once again, I have to kind of bring it up of just I really wonder how North America would have handled this game, because I don't know,
we weren't cool then. I mean, I think by the time you get to what is it, Xenogears, and you're killing God, that's a little later.
Yeah, but they hide. Yeah. They're not really open until way late in that game to what you're actually doing. It wasn't in advertising.
Pokemon was still the devil at this point.
I mean,
or even later than this.
Yeah.
I think
there were some games go ahead.
I think what people might have seen if they had gotten to this point, we would have had another quote maybe had another preventative measure of avoiding cults, because let's face it, Baruga's followers were literally a cult.
Yeah.
Who thought of him as God.
Mm-hmm.
And he's if you're going to cross me, you're against me.
Yep.
And I mean, how many of the cults that have popped up since the mid-90s could we have avoided possibly with another beware of cults thing out there? I can think of a few.
True.
And groups that have slowly been turning into cults.
I know where you're going with that joke, and I want to bet that ball, but I will not.
I'm just leaving it there. I'm not.
I know, and I'm itching, but
dare.
Doesn't work with the contact. But I like how you have 2 forms of travel in this game. Mainly, you have the boat to get around the world map, and then you also have a plane here and there that you can then use to go to very certain places. I thought that was
and that's not from the beginning though. That's rolled out reasonably later in the game.
Yeah, I know it's way later, but yeah, it was. I liked that they had.
See, that feels to me like my big crux of this game is we didn't play this, in 1995 contemporaneously, but it feels like a game just kind of snatched out of time that we're then playing in 2023. It's like a throwback game, but not deliberately a throwback game. Because, I get my boats and I get my plane. That feels like an airship from Final Fantasy. It feels like my boats from Dragon Quest. It feels a lot like Dragon Quest. Graphically looks the same. It's very much like a game plucked out of time and then thrown to us. Most of us wouldn't have gotten until we got ROMs at least 10 years later. And then beyond that now. So that's what I really like about this game. Was really exciting about this game to me.
And also the way that it expanded. I mean, let's face it, a good portion of our world didn't get, if you look at the theory of how the modern civilization came about, I mean, Europe and Asia were trading, but along long routes over land, and we wanted to try and get to it by sea by going the opposite directions to going around the south of Africa in that dangerous Cape of Good Hope area. I mean, let's face it, they called it Cape of Good Hope because they got around it, and look, we've got to India this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, how are we going to keep that up? We'll call it the Cape of Good Hope. Worked with Greenland.
Also, I realized this game made me really appreciate the Panama Canal, because having to go all the way around South America was annoying.
Yeah.
I was like, damn it, why can't the Panama Canal be in this game? I don't want to go all the way around. I just want to go through here.
Yeah, that was an interesting little point in that part of the game where I'm just like,
yeah, I'm like, why can't you guys just... I'm like, oh yeah, there's no way through here. That's why they made the Panama Canal.
I mean, you could try the northern route.
I mean, I did do that sometime, but I just thought it was just funny. I'm like, damn it, I want the Panama Canal. Oh no, it just made me appreciate. And like, this game goes some weird places where you, like, one thing we haven't talked about yet, where you run into Elle, who's like your girlfriend or whatever she is when you're down in the underground in the Upside Down. And then when you come back in the regular world, you meet the same version of her. Find out that everyone is like, there's two versions of everybody in this world. It was strange.
Yeah,
it's cool.
No, it's a reflection of what's down there. That's
exactly.
When you first enter Stromham, Stockholm. I gotta look at what?
I think it's Stockholm.
Okay, Stockholm. Yeah, it's an almost direct duplicate of It's a direct duplicate of Krista.
Oh yeah, no, it was. Oh yeah, you're right. And there's nobody there either. The whole town has been like killed or something almost.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah, they were all killed except for her, and then she was taken by this king, who then said, "Yeah, it's my daughter of the people I just murdered and took her in."
And then but you also, as you learn later in the game, there was actually an Ark born in the upper world.
Yes, that is an awesome moment. You don't find that out until you get right by the end of the game. You get the star stones. You put it in, and then you get murdered and then reborn as a baby for some reason.
That was all very confusing to me.
It seems confusing, but it's explained that there's the light world and the dark world, which is the Hollow Earth thing.
But like, why are you like? And then you become a baby, but then Elle, your girlfriend from down under, comes here now and is ordered to kill you, even though she doesn't know it's you because, well, why are you a baby? It was weird, and you find out that your little partner Yomi this whole time was like, yeah, my whole plan was just to murder you once you finish your job. Like,
I knew that fucker was up to something.
Yeah, that little son of a bitch.
And it's like when you defeat that, when that plays out and it defeats, oh no, I'm actually the one that's been with you the whole time. That was my darker self. And it's sort of revealed Ark was supposed to move humanity along to the point where Dark Gaia could influence things. I mean, Dark Gaia was influencing Beluga, Bafruga, whatever you want to frickin' Beruga call him. And Dark Gaia was the one that Revelation!
Yeah.
The Elder is Dark Gaia.
There you go.
That was cool.
And you were supposed to only get to a certain point, and then Elle was supposed to eliminate you. But the surface Elle was still connected in some ways to the underside, the underworld Elle, the Hollow Earth Elle, and she couldn't do it. There was enough of that caring still left. This is also why the Elder didn't tell her who she had to kill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think she was supposed to kill the light version of Ark, and the light version of Elle was supposed to kill the dark version of Ark.
Right.
But there was too much of the caring for him there, which he didn't count on. The dark version of Ark was supposed to get the world to a certain point, and then he'd be killed, and then the light version would, quote, kill it's how it was supposed to work, but it backfired on him there.
That's where I get confused. So after you place the Starstones, light version of Ark appears. Is this a real person? What happens to him after he kills you? That was kind of unclear to me. That was my sense too. He was already dead, but in that case, how does he kill you?
I don't think he was dead.
I didn't understand it.
There's a line of dialogue about essentially some battle that went down at the South Pole where you eventually revive him. So I took that as in he fought in a battle and died, and you, I guess, revived him with the Starstone. It was all very unclear to me.
Well, you were supposed to have died back in Baruga's place, too.
Mhm.
Yeah, then you escape, so you don't do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. But
It's very strange.
yeah.
I didn't really understand it either, like what was happening. I took it as he was dead, as the other version was dead, but then again, why are you then reborn? I didn't really that's when the game gets very confusing. I didn't really understand what was happening.
Yeah, and that could also
You
that could have also
overstayed
been why
your
this
welcome,
never-
essentially.
Yeah.
I can't necessarily explain it because I'm not really good with that type of thing, but I honestly feel like I did understand most of this game. I thought it was, for what it was trying to do and what it was the story it was trying to tell, I thought it was actually just really unique. I was like, I can't believe that a game in this era is really trying to go for something this, I don't want to call it deep, but this, well, actually, I think I will say it. Yeah, this deep, this is really trying to tell this type of like creationist type of a story of like not only the world, but like life of being put on the planet. And
right.
What is this? Not so much what does it mean, because I feel like the game doesn't really do that per se in most cases, but just like what does life do? What is good and evil? Like, I don't know. Like, I thought that was so just kind of surprising for a game like this to tell it the story that it's trying to tell. Like, I was really surprised by that. I feel like I did understand what the game was mostly trying to go for.
Yeah, like
I
agree,
feel like I got the macro idea, but a lot of the details were lost on me.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, like the details, like, wait, you're a baby now, and all that kind of stuff. Like the micro details are a little weird, but I think it's
I kind of got the baby thing. I don't know, like it's such a not. There's terminology that I'm thinking of, but like the words to say them is like not coming to my brain. But like not okay. This isn't like art house, but like that's very artistic. That idea of like, oh, a new life reborn, and like it to a literal extent of like a baby, like, oh, a baby is new life, and so this new life for this character is this, like, I don't know, like I think I kind of got what they were, I think, trying to go for with the whole like the baby part in that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it was basically what they've been saying is that you have a version on top and a version on bottom.
Yep.
And so they're not necessarily supposed to meet.
Mm.
So someone was supposed to have the underworld version of one eliminate the upper world version of the other.
Mm-hmm.
That was what was supposed to be done. And so while these dark forces and dark Gaia's manipulating some people to, help get things to the point where the cult can be resurrected, and of course he can then rule everything. That's his goal. So, like any decent bad guy in anything, oh, hey, I'm going to be bad. I'm going to manipulate the good guys to do what I want them to do. And then I have my backup to kill them when they're no longer useful.
Yeah.
Or they're becoming a problem. And how do you get rid of someone totally? Very simple. You eliminate both parts of them.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I do like that the guy who sends you on this quest is the villain all along. I think that is very cool.
Yeah, I thought that was actually really clever, especially from a game of this era. I'm like, damn it, that's actually a really good plot twist. Like, kudos, Quintet. That's actually really clever.
Yeah, it's clever because this game takes like big swings, but then like by keeping the elder as that, then it like takes it back to being very personal. Because this game, for what it is, it like you're just like a kid in a town, and this is how video games are. You're a kid in a town. You're gonna go this like world anything, but like this one goes like much more than like Link defeating like Ganon. This is like
exactly.
I go and resurrect some continents. Okay, well I'm just beating 5 towers, whatever, and then I'm gonna like bring back like the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom and man, and that's the end of chapter 2. This game is 4 chapters, and then chapter 3 is like a lot of plot stuff. And then chapter 4 is like, actually, you were working for Dark Gaia the whole time. And then blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you're working for the devil the whole time. It's like, wait a goddamn minute. This game is taking a turn. I thought I was just like talking to animals and helping a little lion cub.
Exactly.
The game, like I like the video games where you like walk back home,
No, of course.
Like, man, I've done a lot of shit in this game. And this is very much like I've done a lot of shit in this game. where I started and where I ended is in much different places. And as a gamer, you're like, man, this is a game. There's a lot to it. I don't know if it all works, but as a swing, it's a big swing.
And I really have to praise them for taking that big of a swing, like really going for something this mighty of a story. Where you think the game starts off so typically with like the boy in a village with the elder, and it's like, yeah, okay, this feels very RPG, but then like the bigger swings it goes for, it's just like, oh, holy crap, game, you're really swinging for the fences on this. Like, damn, I didn't think you had that in you.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's a progression.
Yeah,
it's a nice progression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you bring the land back.
Mm-hmm.
You bring the plants and animals back, and then you like the plants, the birds, the animals, and then humans.
Yeah.
And then you help humans advance.
Yeah.
Showing
by
how far they
and delivering sardines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crucial points in history.
Yeah.
Trade.
The most important part of human history, sardines.
Yeah, trade.
That's
tourism.
You guys know, you studied it in school, remember? You know, in the history books, sardines.
I did like it that you had and you helped invent the hamburger too. I thought that was hilarious.
Yes. Of course, one of the most crucial parts of human history, and all of human history, one of the most important and just powerful stories in our society, the invention of the hamburger.
Terranigma McDonald's.
Yes. I would like a Terra. I would like a Terra McChicken, please. Thank you. Diet Coke and a large fry. Thank you.
And one thing we haven't talked about yet, the boss fights in this game are all pretty good too. They didn't have. They were all fun. I mean, we talk about Bloody Mary, but
I thought I especially some of the bad, like the settings of the boss fights. Like I loved. It's in the very beginning of the game, but I loved the part when it's right after you leave the underworld and you start exploring the actual planet. There's a part when like you don't fall off a cliff, but like it's like you're falling down as you're fighting the boss. I thought that was like, oh, this is on and this is on Super Nintendo. This is so kick-ass. Oh my god, that's so cool. Like that's just such a, I don't know, I just love that battle setting. That's so cool. I'm nerding out. Like it's just, I love this. That's so cool.
I'm trying to think which one that was. Maybe that was Stormkeeper.
It was at the very beginning of the game. Like it's after you leave. It's after you leave the underworld, but it's like at the beginning of like the whole planet-y thing of like unlocking life and animals and stuff like that.
Yeah, that might be Stormkeeper because that's the closest thing I can think of because a lot of the other bosses.
That part was just I don't know. I just thought that was just so like unnecessarily cool. Like that's so badass. I feel like I'm in like an action movie and it's like, oh man, we're falling and I'm fighting as we're falling and it's I love it.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Fair. It's a good moment.
I mean,
exactly.
I like that one in the Great Lakes Cavern.
Right.
Because
I remember that.
It's deceptive.
Yeah.
You see the dragon in the background, you're thinking, I've got to hit that. No, it's the starfish you got to take out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's such a nice little twist. It's like, kill the dragon. And then I wait a minute. I look at RPG classics. You don't have to worry about Gossi, the big dragon, since he won't hurt you.
Devious
it's those
bastards.
Little starfishes.
Devious sons of bitches, aren't they?
Yeah.
It really throws you for a loop where you just fight starfish and not the giant dinosaur in the background. But that was fucking awesome, though. I was okay, game, you are something else right now.
And of course, it's not always, not all the bosses were, quote, simple. Sometimes you had to do a jump attack.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So that's actually, of course, though, it also threw those annoying little enemies at you. Goddamn those cubes.
Yeah, those things are, holy shit.
And it wasn't until I got the right weapon that I was able to, so this weapon actually does a number on these things. Okay, now. I'll just use this weapon now from now on. And it's like, that takes it out in about 4 hits. Love it.
Something occurs to me. So I believe, maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but in the story, essentially, the doctor kind of releases a virus that wipes out a bunch of people and then freezes himself. And I believe there's essentially a battle or something at that point, and that's when our light side arc is killed. And so it seems the game has kind of it's going in cycles is kind of the sense that I got from it. So essentially that happens. Dark arc, our arc, wakes up, in his world and is sent up to kind of now revive this dead world. So I guess when I start to think about it, I assume our dark arc is killed by light arc, so he can be revived. Essentially, the death of one revives the other. Is kind of how is the sense I get.
I can take
yeah,
that.
apparently that's how that works. Also, I'm sorry, but I hate that rhymes. Dark arc, dark arc, dark arc, dark arc, dark arc, dark arc.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to get it. I had to get it out of my system. I'm sorry.
So I assume that's why it's not necessarily explained. I can't draw a straight line there, but that's the sense that I get. That our arc was killed. I still don't understand how he aged so fast from the baby. We're just gonna gloss over that one, I guess. But
that's gonna be one where we have to if we try and think about it too hard, our brains are just gonna explode.
Yeah.
Just hand wave that one away.
Yeah.
You have to do that sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so Light Arc lives, dies, which revives Dark Arc, who is sent to the surface to revive everything, and then he dies so he can be revived as the hero. And although the thing that doesn't make sense to me is, of course, is if that's the case, then Dark Arc being killed should revive Light Arc, who would be a separate being. But it seems to be our Arc who is revived, so I'm not sure I'm sure there's something I'm misunderstanding there. But it's interesting. I feel like there's some. If I could speak to the writer, like I could wrap my head around more of this, because the bones of a really, really cool story are here. It's just maybe it's translation, maybe it's just the era of where you could kind of hand wave away a lot of bullshit by just moving past it essentially.
Yeah.
But the themes and the ideas here are really, really cool. So I'm interested to know more, even if the answers may not even exist.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense as the game progresses. If we try and figure it all out, we're gonna
be here all night. Like,
yeah,
this is gonna be like a 20-hour podcast. That's like, all right, hour 15, and it's like everyone's just in like their sweats, and we're just like, okay, what that actually means is, and it's like, oh god.
And one of the things I want to talk about that we haven't mentioned yet is the ending of this is kind of up for interpretation too. Because after you kill Dark Gaia, you essentially, after you go back to your town Krista, you eventually cease existing and then are reborn as a bird. And the idea that I know what some people think it is that as you see, like the whole ending, you see this bird just flying around, flying over this, and then eventually Elle, the one that survived, hears bird chirping and goes to the door. And then I know in the manga or something Japanese, there's an official picture drawn of Arc hugging Elle at the end of the game. Like that's there's a novelization of this game in Japan.
Okay, I wonder if that's ever been like fan translated, because I'd like to read that. Because
I heard, from what the YouTube video told me that I was listening to, it was not, or at least she couldn't.
Oh no. Okay, well that sucks.
I didn't look.
I would love to read this. I would really like to read this or just like pick it apart, because it sounds really interesting.
That would be definitely something to find out. I mean, to get all this information and find out what is the actual story.
I don't know, the idea of like Arc doing that and hugging her, like, oh, that's so sweet. I love that.
It is, because it's like the idea that he was reunited with her after he finishes his quest.
I know, I love that. That's so sweet.
Yeah,
and
it feels ambiguous.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's up for interpretation. I mean, my own thought is when she opens that door, I'm figuring she's seeing the light side Arc.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's fair.
See, I always took it as Dark Side Arc, or I say always. I mean, that was just my initial interpretation.
I don't know.
It's like his reward, for essentially saving the world. He's kind of reincarnated as the bird and gets to spend more time with the one he loves.
I love that. That's, I don't know. Call me a damn cheesy cornball, but I love that. I thought that was, I don't know. Like, after playing through the game and all that, and just seeing that, like, I don't know, I was like, oh, that's actually really sweet. Oh my god. Damn it, game, you got me. You got me.
Yeah.
All right, and should we go on to questions, comments, or memories, or any last things you guys want to say? I mean, we'll probably double back on some of the stuff if we miss anything during the questions. I'm sure stuff will come up.
If we're going on to that portion of the show, I just kind of, I don't know, like I have such a fondness for Quintet as a game designer and developer, and like the games they created, especially the quote unquote the trilogy. I really love I like, of course, Illusion of Gaia is great. I really love Terranigma, and while it might be the most primitive because it's the first game of the series, I really, really, really love Soul Blazer. And I don't know, like I feel like for most gamers, if they play it now, they might think of it as being quote unquote primitive. But like, I kind of love that it's primitive in a sense. Like, I love how when you unlock things, it feels like you're only unlocking like little chunks of things, and I kind of like that. There's something about that. It just feels so satisfying when you unlock like a chunk of something, and you're just like, what does this connect to? What does this connect to? And just. And the combat is so blood simple of just swinging your sword and using your magic. Like once I know I apologize if I'm being redundant, but
you're fine.
Once again, that's the Falcom developers into this game of just using that magic of like this accessible combat. I love that, and it just that's just such good game design of that era, and I love it so. I love it so much.
Now I want like a Terranigma with like the Oath and Felgana. Like,
oh yes. I love. I love that idea. That's beautiful. Thank you.
That's cool.
I just recently played Ys 1 and 2 earlier this year, and I completely can see where you're coming from with that.
Oh, good times.
They were
times.
both games.
Ys 9 or 8. Lacrimosa of Donna, whichever number that is just 8. One of my all-time faves.
Yeah, I believe that's
8. Okay,
8.
yeah.
It's 8. Yeah. Oath and Felgana is still the one that I can't like. It looks like Zelda, and then you jump and like little numbers jump over everybody's head, and you're super fast.
There's such a simplicity to the. Sorry, I don't mean to make this about another series of games, but just like there's such a simplicity with the East series, and like how those connect to the Quintet as a developer, and I love it. Like. They brought that simplicity to, I feel like the developers of the ex-developers of Falcom, when they went to make Quintet as a developer, like they brought that simplicity with them. And I love that. Like these games, as like old as they may be, like they're still so accessible and easy to understand. And I love that, especially for RPGs, which I feel like may seem notorious to be like harder to like get. Like there's just such a nice simplicity about them, and I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
Oh no, you're fine.
That's just my my little wordy little thing. But yeah, this was just fantastic.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go on to questions, comments, or memories. First, from the I watched the entire Orbital Super Replay, I got one from Justin Bowman. I started that game well over 10 times and never got past the first 3 hours for whatever reason. Not because I didn't want to play it, though. It felt fun and the visuals were fantastic from what I remember. All right, and then
that's tough because that's the best part of the game, probably. If you don't like the first 3 hours, you're going to fucking hate the last 3.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And from the official Laser Time community, first one from Paul Duffy, what's the Quintet trilogy? Which we talked about before many times. Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and this game, which is not a trilogy, but not a trilogy. Yeah. And from Derek Shemerk, I remember trying to play this in high school via emulator, but I kept getting to a point in the opening that I couldn't get past. Tried looking up the solution, but I'm not sure if it was just my own incompetence at the time and everyone else just breezed through it because they knew what to do or what, because I never did find a way past it. I was convinced that was a problem with the ROM and not me, but I'm open to blaming myself. I mean, emulation can be hard at this time because the SNES, let's say high school, let's guess, late 90s, early 2000s, most likely.
Yeah, that period.
It's a NES, it's a NES.
I bet there's a point in one of the towers where you have to use L's cape or something, to. Oh yeah. That was a little unintuitive. I bet a lot of people got stuck there.
There's something in the fourth tower, and I cannot remember what it is, that if you do not pick up that treasure chest and equip it, you're fucked. So
Yeah, that could be it too. But emulation did have issues. I know some of the games gave me problems. Another one from Rick Passmore. This is easily one of my favorite games of the SNES era by a long shot. The combat was new and different for the console, but the world is what really got me into it. This was one of the first games where I was able to feel like I had built up the world myself along the way and made me seek out the rest of the Illusion of Gaia trilogy between Soul Asia, Illusion of Gaia, and this. I don't think anything today can really bring back the feeling these games, especially Terranigma, gave me as an adolescent. From James Fretz, I emulated this game back in the day, underrated.
Oh, yeah. I can agree with that, yeah.
All right. And then from the RPG Sanctuary group, I'm just going to read a few of these because I have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
From Jordan Hill, I bought reproduction cartridges for this and Seiken Detsu 3 in 2011, my first and only. We eventually got Trials of Mana, so holding my breath starting now. Yeah, this ain't going to get played. I wish.
Don't give up that
interesting
dream.
side story. So I was reading a bit. A couple of the people that worked on it, including one of the composers, they kind of started a petition for a remake. And apparently one of the major holdups is that the director of the game has literally disappeared and no one knows how to contact him.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
He is alive.
They presumably alive, just off the grid, and no one can literally get a hold of him. And he is essential to the rights, apparently.
Sounds totally correct with the story of this game.
Yeah.
I love how video game rights are so weird.
Hooray for legal rights issues.
I know.
That's
Joy.
interesting.
And from Chris Orlando, it is the best game of the Quintet trilogy. Right. And from Mass Dupery, I got that beautiful game for my birthday in 1997. Game is my best SNES game. The gameplay, story, and soundtrack, even the Easter egg quintet building you can visit in Neo Tokyo.
Yes, I love that. That part is so that part is so cute. I love just how cheeky that is. Like, oh my god, quintet. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And from Raw Bueno, the game is fantastic. The soundtrack is just on their level. I didn't know the SNES could sound and look like that. The animations were top SNES graphics, and the story, man, I can't recommend it enough. And from the Super Nintendo Super Group, from Demetrius Lakmetis, Epic. From Jan Henning, hasn't aged well in my humble opinion. Same like Illusion of Time / Gaia. Okay.
Illusion of Time's the European name, right?
Yep.
I believe. Yeah, I was just going to say. I'm pretty sure that is the European name for Illusion of Gaia.
That's an interesting, because I don't have perspective on that. Is how I would feel. I think that's fair, because I feel like as a kid I would have been like totally blown away by this. So I can see how someone who's I can see how it wouldn't age well to someone who's like familiar with it as a child and then replaying it. Certainly.
Yeah. Because Gaia, I painted myself into a corner because I didn't kill everything in every room to get those health bonuses, and the two-hand boss I could never get past until I like restarted the file like 10 years later. So
you can't grind in that.
Yeah, and that's a much breezier game than this one. This was a little more obtuse. So I think I would have been very frustrated playing this in the time.
All right, and then I have a few others I'm going to read from this group. From Salva Black, the best SNES game that I ever played, contains a bit of philosophy, a bit of history, a great story. From Clifford Huxtable, I've tried 3 times to get into this one. Have a feeling I'm really missing out. You are.
I don't think that's his real name.
Yeah.
I don't think so either. But that's what's on here, so that's what I read.
Of course.
All right. Yeah. From Anthony Johnson, how long is the game? Tried starting it before, but didn't get into it. I would say like 20 hours probably.
It was
like how long did he said like 15 to 25?
Yeah.
It spans all human history, so it's pretty long.
Yeah.
And from Ryan G, you have a podcast called Games My Mom Found? Yes, I do. So I had to read that one.
This is how you're responding to him?
Yeah, I did actually respond in the chat, or not in the post.
And it's like I'll take my answer off the air.
From Caleb Heddle, I'm sure the energy for this has passed, but I'd love to see a better English translation. The official one is charming before a certain point, but the late game dialogue feels rushed. Lots of non-fluent sentences in the end game. Yeah, that's true.
I definitely agree.
If I can respond to that, I just want to say, don't give up that dream that like, maybe the time for a better English translation is past, because like there have been English released quintet games that have gotten retranslations, like ActRaiser. ActRaiser was a game that came out in North America, and that still got an English fan translation. Like, so don't give up. We got Live Alive remake last year. Yeah, exactly. Don't give up hope. Do not give up hope.
And let's face it, they were doing fan translations of, Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3, and Final Fantasy 5.
Oh yeah.
Densetsu 3.
This one feels like this was one of the big early translations, I feel like. Well, I guess it was in Europe, so it didn't matter, did it?
Yeah.
It does get noticeably worse, though. Like, the longer you play, the translation does get noticeably worse, I thought.
Yeah, it does.
But, like I said, we're saying, these games can eventually come over. I mean, let's face it. It took us probably close to 15 years to finally get the actual Final Fantasy III in America.
Yeah, with the DS.
Yeah.
And then, like an actual 2D version, within the last few years.
Yeah. So it is possible.
I think it's from a marketing standpoint, I think it's a slam dunk. I think Illusion of Gaia has enough nostalgia. Soul Blazer does too. And then you say and we've got this game that was never released in North America. And then you sell it for $60. It's a slam dunk.
A collection is definitely our best bet, I think, to ever see this.
Yeah.
For sure.
I would 100% buy this if it did come out as a collection here. I would totally scoop that up.
Or we could have a quintet.
So we need to track down this director. That's our mission now. Find this asshole.
Quintet with ActRaisers 1 and 2. We'll throw those on there too.
Yes.
Because ActRaiser 2 hasn't been released in anything else. Maybe back in the SNES, on the Wii Virtual Console or something.
That's about
There's
it.
an ActRaiser remake, right?
The first one was,
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, that did.
ActRaiser Resurrection.
Yes.
So somebody's knows about Quintet IP in the last few years.
And from Jonathan Maldano, my second favorite SNES game of all time after Chrono Trigger. That is fair.
Nice.
No, nothing else can be better than Chrono Trigger.
That's wild. So who is this person? Because Chrono Trigger wasn't in Europe. So they must have come to it late.
No, but also from Ivan Navarro. Well, some people are in Europe, some they aren't for this group.
Yeah, okay.
This one, he said, I love it and have a copy, but you Americans got Chrono Trigger, so we're even.
That's a good point. Also, not only that, Americans, not only did we get that, but sadly for Europe, they never got Super Mario RPG, right. Chrono Trigger, and Earthbound. So we got all three of those.
I only missed two good games.
USA, and Canada.
I agree.
And
I'm proud of my jingoism, but this is one of them.
Here's a good one. From Lars Ruman, in Europe, this was one of the biggest titles back in the day. Such an epic classic. When I was a kid, it pretty much inspired my love for fantasy stories. I still love this game. We didn't get to play Chrono Trigger for that, which I got to know just 10 years ago. That is one just a little better than Terranigma. From Daniel Lee, didn't enjoy this game, but loved Soul Blazer.
Okay.
Interesting.
And the last group I'm going to read from, RPG Lovers Worldwide Unite. See, I got a few from John Johns. I started playing this game 10 years ago, got halfway through it, and put it down, so there was something in there that made me not continue playing it. Can't remember what it was.
Okay.
That's fair. And this guy has a picture of the box, the PAL box, and the guide, and says this ARPG is very, 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 very awesome. Mm-hmm. That's a cool picture. The guide looks, this was a game you would have really needed to have a guide for.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, from Tong Zhu, they really have to get to releasing this one stateside. I don't understand why they can't. It's literally already been translated in English already for Europe.
I wish we could get a better translation, though.
Same. I mean, there is a better translation that fans did, by the way. That's
yeah.
But from Ori Grinda, the ending left me devastated. There are only a few games which endings made me cry. This game is one of them.
Aw.
Right, from Joseph Guerra, I was so heartbroken when I found out what the Elder and Dark Yomi made L almost do, which is kill you. Right. Oh, here's one. John Bressel. Nice. Got a Treasure of Rudolph to play first, but we'll get to that eventually. That's another Japanese RPG that never came to America, but I need to play one day, or finish playing. And from Philip Greaves, fantastic game with a very unique premise, highly underrated gem of the SNES. And last one I'm going to read from Dan Faulkner. Good game, but I also found it very overrated too. It has a lot of flaws, and the dungeons vary widely from great to dull as fuck. The Illusion of Gaia is better. Okay. I disagree, but I get where you're coming from.
No, yeah.
I do love Illusion of Gaia, but this game blew me away.
Just from everyone. I love the one where you had to put the gems in the paintings. I really, really enjoyed that place. I guess it was Sylvan Castle. I guess it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the one with Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I really
didn't enjoy her so much.
Yeah. I mean, I really love Soul Blazer, but I can totally get people that'd be like, no, I think this game is I feel like this game's a little too, whatever. I can get that.
Fucking weird. Because that's what I mean. I did enjoy it. It's fucking weird.
All right, and before we go to Shelf Stacker Box, I want to give away a free Steam code. So this is for System Shock Enhanced Edition. The Steam code is CY9QZ6GZTRZD92. I think that's a 1.
Okay.
Or an L. Try either or. You can never tell with these things. Mm-hmm. Or I. It's one of those letters, so see what happens. But System Shock Enhanced Edition. So there's your Steam code. All right, then we'll go to Shelf Stacker Box. And Blake, what about you?
You know, actually, I've been thinking about this question. I think I would put it on the shelf. It takes a lot of big swings, which I have to give it credit for. It doesn't necessarily connect on every one of them, but I appreciate a game and a developer that's going to really fucking, try something big and, maybe failure is too strong a word because it is a good game, but not connect on every pitch thrown its way, but over one that's going to like kind of play it safe and put out a boilerplate product. So like just on the credit of like what the game was trying to do, it may not have it may not have done everything it set out to do, but I really appreciate that it tried. So I put it on the stack, I think.
Oh, the stack? Okay.
Yeah. Not so good as I'm displaying it on the shelf, but it's hanging around. We're not relegating it to the attic.
Of course. Okay.
And Richard, what about you?
I actually enjoyed playing this game. I love the story. I like the philosophical element and development and everything. I think, though, I kind of have to put it on the stack as well because I'm glad I played it. I am very glad I played it. Will I play it again? Only time will tell on that. I mean, when it comes to everything I'm playing, emulator games tend to be on the low side of my replay and all that. But yeah, it was very enjoyable. I think it could use some fine tuning, like with that story, as we said. That does get a little confusing towards the end. And probably a little bit better explanation about what some of the items do. But overall, it's a good game. I'm not about to play it again anytime soon.
That's because there's too many games.
Too many games for your mom to find.
And Vincent, what about you?
I'm going to be unpopular here. I'm going to box it. I think narratively, graphically, I think it's doing a lot of cool things. I don't like playing this game at all. I think it's a little too mazy for me. It's a little too sparse in a lot of places, which I know is like part of the thing. But like I'm just walking around. It does these Enix things where I'm like, I walk through 3 screens to get to these parent lions, and I don't like it. Like there's nothing for me to talk to. It's just not my type of game. I'm not gonna play it again. As Richard was just saying, like, will I play again? I know I won't. It's doing a lot of cool things, but like gameplay wise, it's just not doing it for me.
Okay,
sorry.
I don't pay. I mean, hey, each your opinion. I mean, I'm going to go next. I'm going to put this on the shelf. I had an amazing time with this game, and I will be telling many, many people, if you love SNES RPGs, play this damn game. This is, to me, up there in top echelon of SNES games. Like, if I would have played this as a kid in 96, I would have fucking loved this game. Like 97, 98, 99. Like, I wish I would have experienced this game as a child because it would have stuck with me. And to play it, recently in 2023, I had an amazing time playing this on the Steam Deck. I just wish I would have known to, save and load my files so the towns could advance. But hey, that's not the game's fault. That's a me problem because I'm playing this on, not legit hardware. But it was a hell of an experience. So going on high shelf, so glad I finally played it. And what about you, Kyle?
Well, I would say I would put this most definitely on my shelf. I would display this proudly. I would put this along with really the quintet, the quote unquote quintet, trilogy. I would display it with my other favorite like Super Nintendo games of the console, with Earthbound and Link to the Past, Legend of Zelda, the Ninja Warriors, Final Fight 3. I would display this proudly. I really love the ambition of this game. I love that it swings high. I love its storyline. I love that like a developer thought of making a game with this type of a plot, like in this era of gaming. I love this game. I'm gonna say though, I'm gonna say that my favorite of the trilogy is actually Soul Blazer, though. I know, like, as primitive as that game is, that's actually my favorite of the trilogy, but I would, this is like my number 2 game. Like, Illusion of Gaia is like my 3rd favorite, but Terranigma is really damn good. I really love it. It's an easy 9 out of 10 for me, maybe even a generous, very generous 8.5 out of 10. This is just damn good gaming for the console. It's really charming. The action RPG gameplay is really accessible and easy to understand for the most part. I think the world building is really unique and interesting, and it makes you feel like you're really in it. Like you feel like you're really connected. And yeah, I would easily put this on my shelf.
All right. And that's all of us. So that's, I'm so glad we all got to experience this. Because everyone but Kyle was the first time experiencing it. So, I'm glad that you guys are able to do this for the show. And I wanted to do what we're talking about next week. Next week you can hear all about, God, what the hell's his name, the type of this game? Because it's a weird name. Mystical Ninja starring Goemon.
Yo, hell yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce the actual title of that game.
That is.
Mystical Ninja starring Goemon.
Yeah,
for N64.
And that is how you pronounce the name, Goemon.
Okay.
That is how you pronounce it, Goemon.
I just couldn't, because I know there's also Goemon's Great Adventure, which is for 64, but that's a different game.
That's also, but it's still a part of the same series. It's all a part of in Japan, the series was called Gambare Goemon, or Go For It Goemon.
So that's what you get to hear, a 64 game that no one talks about. So you will hear that next week on this podcast.
Yes. And
Vincent, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Some of My Friends Read Comics. It's an audio podcast, comes out every other week. It's like a comic book club where we read monumental comics. Recently, we reread some Spider-Gwen. We're going to be coming up and reading some Death of Captain America soon.
All right. And Richard?
You can find me on YouTube under Rich Kale, where I play through various video games and working my way through Final Fantasy games and some fighting game story modes. And I also have been reading through some of my fics and putting those up on there as well. And you can also find my fics on various websites like fanfiction.net, Archive of Our Own, Comic Vine.
All right. And Kyle, where can people find you at?
You can find me on my various musings and postings on Twitter at UFO_Canada. And you can find me on Blue Sky at chibiufo.bsky.social. And you can also find my various pictures of stuff on Instagram at chibiufo.
Great. And Blake, do you have anything to plug? I forgot to ask you.
My charger for my phone because it's almost dead.
I see what you did there. That's cute.
And where can I find that? Is that on Apple Podcasts, my charger for my phone because it's almost dead?
You can find that on Amazon, Best Buy, and Walmart has some currently available.
Okay, cool.
All right. And if you enjoyed this episode, you can find it. We have over 500 other episodes on this podcast. On Podbean, you can find everything that we do on there. We have done Soul Blazer, Illusion the Guy. Go on Podbean, type in Soul, type in Illusion. You will find them. They will come up, and type in other RPGs, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 6. They will pop up too. So definitely just go type in names, see what you find. We have a huge catalog. We do comics, movies, TV shows, all sorts of stuff. Whatever I can convince people to sit down and talk with me about, like this game. So definitely go check all that out. If you want to support the show, we do a Patreon. For $1, you can vote in our Patreon poll. Right now, the poll is Edgar Wright movies that Mike has never seen. So you can go sign up and help us out and vote for that and affect the outcome of the show and what we record. And we have a Discord, so please join that. That's free. You'll see a link in the show notes for that. Please join us and chat with us. And want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Hassery. You can follow her on TikTok, and she's TikTok famous now. So definitely go support her and tell her I sent you. So, because it makes me happy. So definitely go follow her. And also give a shout out to my buddy Bill Tucker. Started his own podcast, The Gamer Looks at 40, well over a couple of years ago at this point, but he's been on the show a lot. He did all the MCU movies with me. Definitely go support him. You will see a link in the show notes to everything that we have mentioned on here. You will see a link in the show notes to Illusion of Gaia and Soul Blazer episodes. And we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey.
Bye-bye.